Let's bring on our next Fady Boctor. He is the Chief Commercial Officer and the President of Petros Pharma. There he is. Fady, since we last spoke, you clearly have not moved. I have moved. You have not. You've been in the same seat. But good to see you again. Let's get the slides up on the screen, guys. And Fady, I will give you the floor, sir, and tell us about Petros.
You got it, Spencer. Good to see you again as well.
Right.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to dive into the Petros story. And what I'll do is I'll ask you to tune into a concept. This is a company that's known as a hidden gem. It's a hidden gem because it's operating in a massive marketplace that many may take for granted, and that's the men's health space. We have a flagship cornerstone revenue-generating asset in the ED space, erectile dysfunction, which we'll dive into, that has potential to disrupt the marketplace. We'll talk about how, as well as devices and topical, least invasive therapeutics in a very unique segment of men's health. We'll dive into that. All of that to say, Petros is tuned into and committed to improving the lives of men who tend to live for the ones they love and dismiss their own healthcare, which is why they have the worst outcomes on the planet. As a cautionary and disclosure language, please know that some of the things we'll talk about will be reflective of actual numbers and performance. Others will be aspirational and ambitious. Please take a look at our 10Qs as they're filed quarterly for greater and more information, greater detail. Top level, we talked about our cornerstone flagship asset. We talked about our revenue generating device portfolio. Petros today is performing 106% year-over-year growth as we reflect on and close out Q2 of 2021. We are set to announce Q3 performance shortly, here sometime in mid-November. But nevertheless, this year has been a remarkable year of revenue-generating growth and revenue-generating wins. Just the top line also to consider, the erectile dysfunction marketplace is still growing. Well over 2 decades ago, when Viagra Cialis were launched, this marketplace continues to grow, and I'll show you in a minute how it continues to be potentially underserved, reaching at this point in the US, $1.5 billion as a marketplace and nearly $5 billion globally by 2026. So why is the ED space underserved? And this is a tremendous piece that feeds into this concept that Petros Pharmaceuticals today is a hidden gem. 30 million men are estimated to suffer from erectile dysfunction in this country. And recently, it's been estimated that only about 25% of them have actually sought prescription therapy. To a significant degree, that is due to stigma. It's due to embarrassment. It's due to access issues. That's a remarkable and unacceptable metric for us to be sitting in over 2 decades now with prescription ED therapy available here in this country. On top of that, here's something new that's also interesting. 1 in 4 erectile dysfunction patients are now reported to be under 40 years old. It was for a long time thought that ED, erectile dysfunction, is a 40-year plus issue for men. In actuality, more and more young men are coming to light to say, I've heard about this, I've seen this, I've read about this. I actually have issues with erectile dysfunction. That is an indication that the marketplace may be even larger than we anticipate, beyond the 30 million in prevalence. All this feeds into this potential global marketplace of about $4.7 billion, again, by 2026. All that to also point to Petros today currently hosts the only branded prescription-grade erectile dysfunction medication on the market. We'll talk about Stendra in a minute, which is the brand name of that asset. There are multiple pathways that are going to be disruptive one way or another, and we are tightly tuned into these pathways. We talked about having the only branded, patent-protected erectile dysfunction medication in the US, Stendra, and we're going to take it to another level. We're going to talk about different pathways to destigmatize this product in terms of access, to expand access to men, to allow them to find this product and to find therapeutic value without the hindrance, potentially, of having to make an appointment, go to a physician, so forth and so on. Hence the near-term amazing evolution of telemedicine in this country and potentially globally. We have other pathways in addition to telemedicine, which we're big believers in and we support and we also collaborate with. something to the tune of Ensure, which was coined by the FDA, non-prescription utilization for prescription medication, essentially. And that is an open door to identify technology that allows prescription-grade medication to be available to consumers based on technology clearances and edits. And this is a tremendous frontier that we're happy to say that we are highly, highly tuned into and looking as an option, especially to allow prescription erectile dysfunction to be available to the market at large. And then the biggest one, the zenith potential, and that is to take prescription medications to over-the-counter status. Our board of directors have tremendous experience in this pathway and in this process. Our goal and our ambition is to take our current prescription-grade erectile dysfunction, patent protected, and take it from prescription to over-the-counter. It would be the first of its kind in the US. And it would be the first of its kind to potentially unearth the millions of men who have not yet sought prescription therapy because of the fact they have to make an appointment and speak about it out loud. We'll dive deeper into those details in a minute. So Stendra, we talked about it being distinct. It's patent protected. It's currently in market and generating sales revenue. It has experienced tremendous success on numerous digital platforms. We will continue to expand on this new frontier. Some have coined it as the fourth industrial revolution, this tremendous digital revolution. And prescription medication are at hand, and they're being put to test as to how they're going to meet the consumer's accessibility demands, the practitioner's accessibility demands, and bring it to whole new convenience grade. Our intentions, once again, is to seek a new frontier for greater consumer reach, control, and access. Tune into our press releases, tune into our progress on this front. We have numerous announcements coming that will touch on the pathway of making this prescription-grade erectile dysfunction more accessible to men throughout the country. Ensure among them, and OTC among those strategies as well. Let's stop for a moment and imagine for a second. What would it be like if you walked into your local grocer or pharmacy, CVS or Walgreens, and you were able to pick up a prescription-grade erectile dysfunction medication over the counter? Maybe on a Friday night before you go away with your partner, maybe on demand, ad hoc, to be able to have it available to you on the shelf of your local grocer, or as a click to purchase, direct purchase by an e-commerce platform. That is the intent that our company has, is to take erectile dysfunction medication, prescription grade, standard to be specific, and bring it to over-the-counter accessibility. Well, again, once again, it's either through Ensure, non-prescription mechanisms, or over-the-counter designation by the support of the FDA and guidance of the FDA, and or e-commerce reach and accessibility. It's the only way to operate in this 21st century. Diving into another segment that feeds into this concept of Petros Pharmaceuticals remaining as a hidden gem. So Peyronie's disease is a tremendous element in men's health. Peyronie's disease is essentially a scarring condition. It is a non-cancerous fibrotic condition. Many microtraumas, often while engaging in sexual intercourse, men will scar in those microtraumas to the penis. And those scars will form into palpable plaques and will cause penile abnormalities, irregularities that happen to be extremely debilitating, both physically for sexual engagement, but also psychosexually and psychosocially. This is a real condition and real disease that many men suffer. It's estimated to have a prevalence rate of potentially up to 11 million men in the US. Currently, the only treatment modalities are a series of injections approved by the FDA and proven to provide tremendous clinical efficacy, and or surgical intervention, excision, and the like. These are still invasive conditions and procedures. And currently, men today who begin to demonstrate signs and signals of Peyronie's disease have to face these limited therapeutic options. There are also devices that can be used for traction control and traction modeling, Nevertheless, there's nothing that is non-invasive in this marketplace, and yet millions of men suffer from it, and they'll face a series of injections or surgery. We aim to do something about that. Today, we have a licensed asset. We name it H100. It's a topical gel, and it was put to test in a pilot study, a small-scale pilot study, 22 patients. It was randomized, double-blind, and placebo-controlled, and it looked at mean stretched penile length, mean curvature reduction. Curvature happens to be one of the most foremost symptoms of Peyronie disease, where the penile will curve to significant degrees, but the abnormalities expand beyond that, and mean pain level reduction. H100 was able to demonstrate statistically significant improvement in each of these endpoints. Our intent is to take this pilot study, have it serve as our cornerstone proof of concept study. We will be reaching out to FDA and connecting with them on a clinical roadmap, and we have clinical roadmap strategies that we'd like to propose to the FDA. You'll see announcements and discussions on that to come. Stay tuned. We have strategic ways to potentially find efficiencies in bringing this product to market. So stay tuned and look for it. The biggest takeaway on this asset within our portfolio is that this is a landmark achievement if accomplished. This would be the first non-invasive topical formulation for the condition of Peyronie disease, which happens to have a prevalence rate that's near that of erectile dysfunction. It's significant, and we're still learning more about its prevalence in the country and globally. And I will say that the licensing rights purchased and licensed on this asset are global. So we have global, worldwide rights for H100. Moving on to our device portfolio. So the device portfolio is actually leveraged to both condition erections, to infuse oxygenated blood within the penile body, as well as leveraged on demand for sexual engagement. We happen to have two of the foremost brands within this space, and that's Osbon Esteem Manual and Automatic, as well as Postivac Automatic and Manual as well. These series of devices have been in market for many years, and we continue to look for ways to enhance them, improve them, and to revolutionize the way men condition their erections and put themselves in a position where they take more control over their erectile health. And we believe erectile health actually happens to be the core of men's health. It's a nexus juncture. It represents arterial function. It represents psychosocial elements such as anxiety, depression. There are elements that manifest by way of erectile health, and by men taking more control over their erectile health, you will find that men's health outcomes are likely to improve as well. There are opportunities here. Stay tuned and look for our announcements and our statements as to where we want to take this device division. We are emphatically passionate about the concept of self-care, biosensor feedback, actionable feedback, so that men in their homes can get actionable data to where they can actually make some therapeutic advances at home while still communicating with their physician by way of digital information and digital biosensor feedback, biofeedback. So look for improvements, concepts, and announcements on this device portfolio. It is intended to be an asset that's going to revolutionize the way erectile dysfunction is treated in this country and globally. We talked about the over-the-counter transition and ambition of where we want to take standard prescription-grade erectile dysfunction medication to over-the-counter status. Many may ask, what makes you think you have a competitive advantage or an opportunity to do so? I'd like to highlight two of our premier board members, John Schulman, who is founding partner at Juggernaut Capital Partners, longtime supporter of Stendra, longtime supporter of the private organization before coming Petros when we were still Metuchen Pharmaceuticals, and today our executive chairman of the board of Petros Pharmaceuticals. John Schulman has a number of companies within his portfolio. Among them is Plan B One Step, led by Greg Bradley. Greg Bradley and the team at Foundation Consumer Healthcare took Plan B One Step from prescription grade to over-the-counter, driving it to become the #1 selling SKU in the US. Greg's network, know-how, tacit knowledge, his team's network and resources are all backing our path and our ambition to take Stendra from prescription grade to over-the-counter status and designation. Again, along with the guidance of the FDA. John Schulman, just to cap his background off, he's got assets such as Voss Water. He has tremendous brands within his portfolio. Zoa with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is another investment of his. This team gives us the power, again, the tacit knowledge, the competitive advantage to believing and having confidence in that we can take Stendra from prescription grade to over-the-counter and revolutionize the way we unearth the silent sufferers in erectile dysfunction today. I don't think we've yet seen the potential of erectile dysfunction therapy in this country. Even with the two known assets of Viagra and Cialis in market, and have been in market for some time, the key ingredient of mobilizing patients by destigmatizing their access and their pathway to gaining pharmaceutical therapy in their hands has not yet been achieved, and we aim to do so. So tune into our press releases as we update you on our progress on this pathway. I'll quickly highlight my background as a member of the executive team. I've been with companies such as Merck, Endo, Forest, Adapt, Auxilium. All of them provided first-in-class innovative pharmaceuticals in this marketplace. I am forever passionate about bringing innovative first-in-class medications to market, solving for critical issues and driving greater access and reach by the patient. With that, I'll conclude. Spencer, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, we are actually at time here, Fady. So Fady Boctor is the president and chief commercial officer of Petros Pharma. Unless we actually, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm right. Okay, I've got my time. I've got my timing all good. Let me check. There's questions from the chat. Thank you for you've got well wishes from someone in the chat. Let me ask this one from Proton73. Interesting one. I don't know if you can answer this. He's asking if there are any interactions to heart health medication.
That's a great question.
Yeah,
that's a great question. Yes, the FDA has made it clear in our label that concomitant use with nitrates is contraindicated. And there are a slew of concerns and warnings that one should tune into and that we aim to address with FDA.
All right. Awesome. Thank you again. Fady Boctor, President and Chief Commercial Officer of Petros Pharma, ticker PTPI. Thanks for joining us today at the Benzinga Small Cap Conference.
You got it, Spencer. Good to see you again.
All right. Good to see you as well.